Hey everybody, this is Matt at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. I wanted to do a quick video about wet sanding because I'm at the cycle in the year where I'm doing a lot of wet sanding. People come over and they ask me if they can wet sand on their guitar for a little bit, and that's cool because it's one of the simplest motions in the world to master. On the other hand, wet sanding is one of the trickiest things to do correctly. So I wanted to do a quick video for everybody on how I do wet sanding and some of the tricks that I have. So, wet sanding is done prior to buffing to eliminate that orange peel that you get when you spray lacquer on first. The reason they call it orange peel is because it kind of looks like an orange. So the idea is you want to level everything out with wet sanding, and so your finish has that nice glass smooth, and if you're using a buffer you get that wet look and everybody swoons and chicks dig it and whatever. In any case, so right now I'm working on one of the set neck challengers, and I just got the top wet sanded. I started with 600 paper. Sometimes I start with even as coarse as 400. So I started with 600 on this. I'll go to 800 because my buffer will take out all the scratches at 800. So tips of the trade when it comes to wet sanding. It's really all about what my friend Kevin calls feeds and speeds. So I take a piece of wet sanding paper and I use a block. In this case, it's a foam block. It's got some structure to it and it's pretty nice. I get the paper all nice and wet. You know, sometimes people tell you can leave the paper in overnight. I don't find that you have to do that. Some people use a battery as a block. I think that's silly because it's not very big and it's not very flat. So you get the paper all nice and wet and you just kind of work it in there. Now, the finish doesn't have a grain, so you could go across the grain of the wood, or you could go with the grain of the wood, or what I like to do is just go in little circles. I don't know why. You can do whatever you want. Use what's best for you. The key, though, is to not press on this paper. I mean, you got to press a little bit, but I actually have found that when you get enough water on here, the paper actually has some suction to it. So it actually helps hold it to the guitar. And if you just kind of press real gently and move the paper around, that's the best bet. And it's good for a couple of things. One, you don't tend to dig into one area and make scratches or divots in the finish. And two, you can actually feel when the paper's starting to get clogged, or you can feel when you're done in one spot. If you're working on brand new finish, it feels very different than if you're working on a place that you've already wet sanded and it's nice and flat or getting nice and flat. The other thing, like I said, you can feel when you've got a corn growing on your paper. So you can hear it too. So I usually never listen to music when I'm doing this. It's just me again. If you guys want to listen to music, go for it. Another trick I see, or another trick that I use, I always try to keep the paper up when I go to wipe back the residue of the water, and that way I'm not introducing a bunch of crap that's usually all over my bench to the paper. So always leave your paper up, always use a block. What else? If you've got holes in your guitar for a bridge or even like a strap button and you're wet sanding, always fill those holes with wax. And in this case I use just the paste wax stuff that you can buy at Home Depot or whatever home center you go to. It's pretty cheap, works great, and it keeps water from getting into those holes. I've heard of people using mineral spirits to do this as a way to eliminate water wicking into those holes, getting into the wood and popping the finish up or making a blister, if you will. I just use the wax, works good. The other nice thing about wax is it helps the screw that you're about to put in that hole thread in a little easier. And I got that from a Boy Scout book. So anyway, if you have any questions on wet sanding, or if you'd like to see more about wet sanding, or if you'd like to wet sand, come on over to the shop and we'll get you fixed up. Anyway, this is Matt at Texas Toast Guitars reminding you that if you're so smart, build it yourself. That's what I do. Thanks for watching.